Okay, we'll go to our first panel discussion of the day on optimizing terminal operations with AI and machine learning. Our moderator for this session is Christian Blauert, Global Director for Port and Terminal Development at Moffett & Nichol. And can we also welcome up Alex Gandagar, Anton and Nico, please. And please put your hands together for them.
Goedemorgen. Ja. Ik ben ook Duits, maar Duitsstalig.
Oh, okay.
Hi.
Hi.
So, good morning. And again, thanks to Matthew for the introduction. Very impressive. I get a bit scared when I'm engaging now with him. I'm engaging with an AI tool, but I think it will do well. Good morning, everybody here in the room. We are talking now with a very interesting, and I'm excited to have this panel here, about optimizing container terminal operation with artificial intelligence and machine learning. So I think we should go now from the high-level area. Matthew was introducing us to what we really do in the industry here. So, and talk about questions, what are the up-to-date solutions? How would standards help here? We had yesterday a discussion about standards also. And how can technology provide terminals with the right solutions and systems and tools really to do this? I would like to introduce a panel firstly, starting with Alex Duca, Head of Transformation, Modernization and Automation in AP Møller-Mærsk. So it's a new role as far as I understood, Alex. But I think we all know Alex a long time, and he achieved his engineering degree in automation, industrial informatics. He managed his own startup before joining APMT. In APMT, I think we all know, he had several positions, and below each, Alex already long in the industry doing these roles, ending up with the head of automation in APM terminals. And now on the group level, not looking only on the terminals, also looking on the supply chain, which of course helps a lot. Then we have Alex. I know Alex already a long time. Matthew was talking about Burcherkai, and when I'm not wrong, we met firstly at the Burcherkai, where I was more on the operator side, and Inform stepped in to develop the tools there for helping. Now he's already 12 years in the industry. And in Inform, Alex is responsible for the business relations and establishing new customer relations, and also for all the tools around terminal operations, if I can so, Alex. Yes. So then we have Anton. Also Anton, I think I know all my 22 years in the industry already, yes, so most probably you all know him. He is all time in Camco, yes. And I think one of the industry's best experts when you talk about OCR technology, when you talk about automated gate systems, when you talk really about practical tools which enable us to capture data, to help us to work with these tools we talk here. And I think also there is a lot of experience of AI in these tools. Then we have Gangadhar. I hope I pronounce it right. Yes, okay. Gangadhar is the CEO of ATAI. Gangadhar is founder and CEO of ATAI and co-founder of Invecas. Under his leadership, Invecas has received the Red Herring Global 100 Award in 2016. And the most innovative product winner is also here in Invecas. Yes, so you won this award. And Gangadhar envisions a future where we could solve problems in the supply chain industry by making cutting-edge technologies more accessible for everyone. So I think it's perfect fit here. Cutting-edge AI, how we really can use it. We will talk about this. And last but not least, I'm happy to introduce Nico, who could not join us here today. Nico is project engineer in HHLA Container Terminal Burcherkai. This is the CTB we were talking about already. And Nico has 10 years of professional experience. He accompanied and managed various projects with focus on optimization of terminal processes and terminal operations software. As far as I understood, working closely with Inform here for operating software, and we are happy to hear about. For the introduction, I have to say I like and I dislike hypes. Yeah, so I like them because they really focus us to look on technology, on new trends and what things going on. I sometimes dislike them because we fly too high and we don't really do what we need. Yeah, so and too many talks about, and I'm more a hands-on man. I like to do things. I remember when I started Container Terminal Altenwerder, the fully automated terminal 22 years ago. The hype was fuzzy logic. Everything was fuzzy, and we talked a lot about this, and we not really know, okay, but how it helps now to do a slot allocation, yes. So, and I hope that now we follow Matthew, that we have more faster development periods, so that we bring this AI, which we already talked about here. Help me, it was 4 years ago in the CTAC, and help me, it was in London. Yeah, and I was talking about yard slot allocation in one of the big T.O.S services where you have to set up 54 parameters. And these 54 parameters you more or less not understand anymore. And when you change from 1 to 10, nothing happened. When you change from 6.9 to 7.2, and your yard gets a mess. Yeah, so and there, of course, I hope that AI will help and to make it better. I hope that we hear there are solutions. 4 years ago were not. Yeah, hopefully now they are. Yeah, so, and now I would like to hear from the panel, and I would like to go around the panel, starting with Alex, if you allow me, to hear just the statement, how they think about this AI trend and how you in your organization or in your personal view see this technology and bring us forward. Alex, can you?
Yeah, so for me, first of all, thank you for inviting to this panel. So I actually been very happy to join because I'm very personally connected to the topic. It was actually 26 years ago when I stood on a stage last time talking about AI. You know, I've been in industry for more than 20 years and had the opportunity to see so many challenges which we could actually solve. But at my background, I am actually an AI, a machine learning specialist. This was my major when I finished. I developed software for this. But at the time when I finished university, was no money in AI. So I needed to, find a different path through, technology and all this continue. And I stayed in the industry. So my observation to that is that regardless the topic is not new, I think we are talking a lot about it, especially in the last years. I think we do not do enough. So, and the narrative in general, it is very complex. We talk about AI as being something which is the future, but actually it is here today, and we heard just now from the presentation we had before us, all that, metrics which actually things are happening as we speak. But yet we do not acknowledge, and I'm pretty sure that many of you, we will actually go home after this nice conference, and we'll still do not know exactly what we need to do next. And my message would be here is that instead of thinking about the complex problems which we want to solve, I think we need to look for some very simple problems which we need to solve differently. And that will give us the opportunity to start thinking that actually data and some algorithm, some categorization of the data we already have can give us insights which will improve the decision making and the way how we're moving forward. We do not need to solve complex problems to actually make use of artificial intelligence. We can solve simple problems and solve them repeatedly till we actually create our organizational knowledge and approach on how to actually deal with such technology.
Thank you very much. I think very interesting. I would like to give Gangana the next opportunity to give a statement here.
So I agree with Alex. I mean, so again, we're relatively new to the market industry. It's been 3 years we've been working in the maritime, we're based out of India. What we've seen is adaptation of technology has been crucial, and the simplest, smallest things are not being able to be solved. So that's where we wanted to introduce AI ML. They're calling it the disruptive technology. A lot of companies are doing IoT for capturing the right data, but is the data being captured right? Is it being done thoroughly? Is it being processed thoroughly? And how quick is the turnaround time for you to give these insights to your customers? There's a lot of adaptation of pure AI ML. There's a lot of pure IoT, but there's no holistic solution as such. And that's the main problem, or the situation that we're seeing in this industry, that there's no holistic solution as an overall to be able to address and give a solution to the customer. And we believe AI ML is not just a thing, it's a holistic with IoT and a complete integrated, because again, there's drawbacks in AI ML as such, inherent problems of technology that it's not 100% accurate. But with the mix of multi-sensors and giving a summation of all these things, you can give 100% accuracy to give the right data, the right insights. And it's like doing, what we learned is doing the smallest things to the 100% perfection gives you the right output. And I think that's what AI ML and a IoT holistic solution will give you that type of perspective. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you. Anton?
Thank you. Good morning, everybody. I'll go perhaps a little bit more pragmatic. So Camco is a company that started 22 years ago. And let's say the first 10 years we worked, of course, on developing different OCR engines. Not with AI, but with a more standard traditional image analysis technologies and these kind of things. And our head OCR developer, he was, very hesitant with AI. He didn't believe in it, etc., until we started to hire some whiz kids from the university in Leuven, where we are located as well. And they could do in a certain, some weeks, but the other guy he needed several years to do the same thing that those guys could develop in certain weeks, based on historical data, etc. So he was quickly convinced that AI was the way to go. And let's say that over the last 7 years, we built a complete separate AI department in the company. Within the meantime, more than 10 engineers, experts, trying to develop all new OCR engines based on AI. And OCR is fairly easy to do that because again, we have so much data, we have so much images coming from all the different installations that we do have worldwide, which means that going from the traditional engines to AI-based OCR engines was fairly easy to do, and we saw immediately some results. Let's say that the normal stuff, container code recognition, etc. Okay, there we were already very high, so we didn't see that much of a difference. But for instance, the more difficult items like reading license plates, which can be very dirty, very damaged, etc. So where you have a lot more variety in the quality of the images, there we saw effectively significant increases in the quality of the data. And the further we went, the more we could start to detect automatically as well. Which means that today we're not only speaking about optical character recognition, OCR, but as well OFR, optical feature recognition, which means that thanks to AI, we are now capable, without having to install additional systems, equipment, whatever, laser scanners, to name something, is that we are capable of automatically detect a lot more that you can find on a container. The presence of seals, the presence of gensets, for instance, the quality of tires. For instance, in the US, we understand that many terminals do have problems with chassis that got new tires. They go out and they bring them back with bad tires because somebody could use one of those new tires. Well, we can now check that automatically so that it's no longer a kind of reactive process but a proactive process. And so there we see a lot of further improvements is that that when a container, when a truck, whatever, enters a terminal, for instance, that we can immediately give already a lot more information to the terminal operator to say, hey, watch out, this truck, this container, I would get it out of the flow so that you can guarantee for all the normal, the happy flow, a happy flow, a truck flow that doesn't need to stop or has congestion or whatever, and that immediately, as soon as you can, that you can remove the exceptions, the problems out of the flow, so that other people can take care of them. And by doing that, we think we can save quite some resources, money, movements, whatever. So we try to see it very pragmatically, and it's just the beginning. But it's a little bit what your colleague said before as well. Yeah, it's all about data. You need to have. It's not enough, to just capture the data. Let's say it that way. But you need to know what to do with the data. And there, the experience of, for instance, working in our industry is very important. We see a lot of small companies popping up the last couple of years, all doing AI, and they do it wonderfully. As soon as you have an image, you can do something. But okay, once you have this data, what are you going to do with the data? And there, I guess that will be the further future for companies like Amco. Is that we need to further develop and design systems where we can effectively process this data in such a way that terminal operators can use them in a way they like, so that they can improve further their processes as well.
Understood. Very good.
Thank you.
Okay, I would like to give the chance for Alex and Nico also. I think you give together, so you manage yourself as a team here, please. Yeah.
So then, Nico, you go first.
Yeah, thanks. Let me come back to the first thing Christian said in the beginning. You said it's a hype and you see some kind, or you somehow like it and dislike it. And I see it in a pretty similar way. There are pros and cons. And me working for the development department of a company, I somehow feel when there's a hype, some kind of a pressure that we really need to do something with AI now. So they kind of force us now implement some AI into your terminal system, because this is the thing now. But if we look back, what we already have, we have like pretty nice optimization circles, and this is already pretty powerful for us, particularly when we look on our terminal control system and the processes linked to it. Within the last years, we achieved massive improvements just from optimization. And now in the meantime, we are at some kind of a point where so many data comes to us, and we can't link it correctly anymore. And we see that our optimization circles somehow start interfering with each other, so that we see at some points we ended up at the limit of optimization. And this is where AI first time became interesting for us. And why are we here as a team, Alex and me? the point is that we have set up an AI pilot project together. I guess it's now already 2 years ago that we started it to improve the yard optimization with some kind of prediction of control-related data, or more specific, we determine an optimal location for the containers within our yard. And we have been able to celebrate first considerable successes with it. And we maybe also can discuss this later. But what I want to say about it, we don't need that pressure that everything must consist some parts of AI. We should more take small first steps to improve our knowledge, to improve our know-how, to celebrate first successes, and then we can, from that first small step we took, we can go to higher levels, higher steps next.
Thank you, Nico. I think very interesting. Alex?
Yeah, hi everybody, and I won't make it too romantic between Nico and myself here. So I'll give you a bit of a broader perspective, or try to give you a bit of a broader perspective. And I think the panel here is also a good mix of different approaches towards AI in our container terminal business. We've got the hardware side, we've got the software side, we've got the operator side, and possibly also the visionary side, how it's going to be in the future. And Matthew also talked about that pretty much. And I'm happy to sit in this particular session here because the title of the session is Optimizing Container Terminals or Container Operations with Artificial Intelligence and Machine Learning. And there, in that title, optimization and machine learning complement each other. And it are two different and also two comparable components in that mixture. Over the last few years, we've demystified artificial intelligence in our industry and have now identified different approaches of artificial intelligence and machine learning in the container terminal business, in our daily lives. And last night during the conference dinner, I had a very interesting talk with Alex's successor. And he's coming from the mining industry, and that mining industry seems to be ahead of where we are now as the container terminal industry. And we talked about artificial intelligence, and I'm with Christian there. The usage of all those buzzwords, I don't know, possibly we don't need it because we've got proven artificial intelligence tools for a couple of years, neural networks who work perfectly well, and optimization in its core, which works well. And then I see, yesterday I also learned that this strive of the industry, and particularly for our customers, for the terminal operators, is to somehow have consistency, and to have consistency in operations, to have consistency in strategy. And for that you need reliable solutions. And most of the IT infrastructures at the terminals give a good ground, a solid ground for let's say to cover 80%, 90%, and have a good consistency. And then with optimization on top, you can squeeze more out of it. And then with machine learning, you can find or can improve the variables for optimization, and even tweak it a bit more and squeeze out more. And that's what I'm happy to discuss about today in this session.
Very good. Thank you. Very interesting statements, very good statements. I like a lot. Allow me to maybe emphasize discussions. I will ask you directly, but feel free to every aspect to say, hey, I would like to comment this also. Same, Nico, as far I know it's sometimes difficult to follow via screen, but raise your voice when you want to say something or give us a sign. Alex, you talked about simple problems to solve, and I'm fully with you here. So that we should think about easy tasks, easy in a way of we can decide for it, we can go for it, and we can get comfortable with a new technology. I think this is what you mean. Using that you are the automation man in APMT and not pressing you to say any secrets, but where in APMT you see such solutions already in development or already in operation, maybe?
So I will use the opportunity because we have here Anton and our new colleagues from AT AI. Let's take the OCR, the simple OCR. We still have the initialization of the OCR system in a new deployment. We are still starting, with success rates of 70, 80, and then we need to fine-tune it till we actually get to a higher percentage of recognition. So that's a bit a problem, which, at the end does not exist because we succeed to arrive to the performance levels which, are desirable for our operations. But it takes us every time the same amount of learning or the same amount of effort to actually bring the system to the performance it needs. This is a simple problem, I would say, which can be resolved, through artificial intelligence, can be resolved from the lab, can be virtually commissioned, and arrive to the, specific location where you deploy the system, and that being much, faster operational. Then another type of problem is that we have an immense amount of data, and our colleague in the presentation before have very rightfully touched the topic on why AI or machine learning, initiatives are failing. The experience for us is exactly that sales pitch, that we can bring an algorithm which takes a random set of data and actually makes sense out of it. And that does not really work that way. It's a lot of work, it's a lot of effort in categorizing the data, understanding the data, and only after that you can actually drive meaningful results. And that's where we can actually, take few steps back and say, do we really need to look for that self-learning systems which will actually deliver results for our industry in a place where our operation is cyclic? We have weekly performance. We have vessels which they keep coming. There are sets of data. We have seasonal ability. So we have all this repetition in our processes where we actually create cycles of information which will provide that categorization and that pattern recognition. So having enough sufficient data, having cyclic operation, supervised learning is probably much more easy to approach. So my message here is, while we all can think about a complex problem, we want to find that complex problem and find that amazing algorithm which will solve all the problems we have. Maybe it's more attainable, maybe it's more achievable for us to look for simple problems and to look for, supervised learning, use the data we have, use the patterns of our operation to actually drive results.
Absolutely, fully with you. Gangadhar, coming back to what you said, you used, allow me to say another big word, holistic, so which is of course a big word, yes. So when you talk about AI, I see it a bit in a different way. Alex is saying, hey, let's go in a certain problem. You talked about holistic. What do you mean with this holistic?
So I agree with Alex how he said solving the simple problems is the starting point. But how do we do it? How do you go about it? Like, again, you're going at the complexity. He clearly stated, you're coming and saying, okay, I'm going to go do some unsupervised learning or reinstated models, or how do I go about, I want to create a huge technology. But what is the problem that you're going to solve? What is the main thing? Okay, I want to solve the bottleneck at the gates. I want to see how my dwell time is coming down. So how am I addressing that meticulously? Now let's take OCR by itself as a computer vision. Depending on different conditions, even if you have it completely standardized, like from the license plate, and still you might achieve 95%, 96% as a single camera solution. But is that enough for a terminal operator? Is it okay? Are you able to let go of that 5% misaccuracy to be able to operate? No. You need 100% operation. Now, there's a lot of tech available outside, but is tech enough to solve this problem? So we believe, when I say the holistic, it's not just the tech, it's also the process remap combined with it, with other sensors. You have to be, and what is it you're solving? You're giving them 100% accuracy operational of a license plate, a container health, a gating process. It can happen at the rake. And these are the smallest and the simplest things. If you take this is where I meant holistic approach, complete approach of giving them 100% accurate analysis, that's what's going to give them what the customer is expecting.
Absolutely. I think now I understand. Yeah. So what you say, if it's right, yeah, however big the problem is you want to solve, yeah, you need a full view of the problem, and this full view is holistic, and you need a full availability of data for this, and then it's going on. So you choose a small problem, yeah, which is Alex saying better choose a small one, or we learned from Anton that OCR is a good development there. You need for this problem a holistic view. Thank you very much.
Yeah, although perhaps just a reaction. My experience is, and that is a little bit what I learned over all those years in the industry, and certainly with OCR, 100% doesn't exist in the OCR world. If you talk about we give you 100% accurate data, I don't believe in it. Or you should have, other ways of improving the data, but there is always a container with a number, a feature that is in such a bad quality that you can't automatically detect it or read it. So you have to be very careful that the expectations are correct. So yeah.
Right, absolutely right.
Yeah.
Understood. Nico, coming back to your statement, is my understanding right? This AI you use at the Burcherkai is Nico and Alex, so because you're working together there. This is yard slot allocation you're working on, yeah. So, and is it in use, or is it now in a comparable state? So still the old one, or is the new one fully in use?
Should I go ahead first? So it isn't a yard slot allocation. It's a prediction of information that we need to choose the right yard slot. And we have it in use for, I guess, around 2 years now. So the main problem behind this was, and we received import containers, and of those import containers, like about 50% of the containers didn't contain the time when they will leave our terminal, and another 10% of those containers even came to our terminal without us knowing how will they leave the terminal. So the question we had is where to store those containers in our terminal. So we choose the middle of it, because the way from the discharge point and the way to the load point is like nearly exact. So we use the AI to predict from the information we have about the containers, on the one hand, at dwell time, on the other hand, the outbound carrier to store the container at the perfect place on the terminal.
Okay, understood. So finally, the yard slot allocation is still the existing algorithm, but you have
exactly
empty data fields, and then you make a prediction of the dwell time and transport mode to make a better decision. Yes. So, and this is what is in operation today. Yes. So very good. I think it's, again, very much fitting, because you went one step more in detail, and you solved firstly this problem in a holistic view, in a prediction to get better. Yes. So what do you think about, and small question to Alex, will yard slot allocation itself be the next stage, or how you see the future?
Yeah, so possibly before I jump into the future, could say something about the current state. And what we did with CTB there was that, as Nico also said in his statement at the beginning, there was the CTB possibly felt that there was the need of implementing AI and or machine learning, and we also thought, okay, we can't send Matthew on the stages of all the conferences all the time talking about AI, how nice it is, and give his future vision without having an implementation. And then, since we're optimizing really a lot at CTB, we're optimizing the ASC, we're optimizing the strats, we're optimizing the whole transport chain, we have that existing module for decking. Then we thought, okay, where can we find improvements with machine learning? You could also go and apply machine learning for having better execution times for your crane travels, for example, and predicting those. And we were searching for fields which could serve as a better input for optimized decisions which we already made. And these are the two things Nico just mentioned: the dwell time in order to minimize rehandlers, and then the prediction of the outbound transport mode for a container when it's either unknown or wrong. And since we had the data, because we are the decking module there and have been the decking module for over 10 years when we started back in the days, we had that chance to analyze that data and to make that machine learning project. And then in the end, it came to experience and also good collaboration with the customer in identifying or formulating the problem, finding solutions, and then analyzing the data and finding those hidden predictors. It's not that you run a machine learning project and in the end you get your results. You get a lot of data fields where you then have to derive actually what you find and what you can tweak in the software from. And that was a common journey together with CTB there.
I understand very good. Let me switch a bit to another aspects of our panel here. Yes, so we heard yesterday in a session about standards. Was a quite interesting discussion there, and we have also a view as Morphet and Nickel on this. I assume you know Morphet and Nickel. We are one of the leaders in digital twinning. So we do a lot of simulation, emulation for quality assurance for automation projects, and standards is also for us always a bit a mess. Yes, so. And the question for the operators, in my opinion, should be that standards should not a question anymore. Nobody wants to give a job order to an automated crane, which is different for this crane supplier and different for this crane supplier. Yeah, and nobody wants to get EDI messages where you need 5 people in the back office always to correct this, which, in my opinion, please correct me, we still have in the industry things like this. Yes, so what is your thinking about standards, yes, so and going on. Maybe we can go vice versa. Maybe Alex, you can start.
Yes. So Boris Wenzel touched on it yesterday, and I think there are a lot of participants in TIC 4.0 here. Norbert, hi. TIC 4.0 is I think a good step in the right direction towards identifying standards or establishing standards. So it's not just about the identification of standards and sitting together with competitors, with operators, with competing operators, and defining those standards in weekly meetings and in neat cycles. It's also the willingness of the industry to show, okay, we are finally there to collaborate and changing something, because collaboration has been lacking over the past years. And there are also obviously it's also a hard task to put that into practice. You mentioned the example of interfacing with different kinds of equipment, different manufacturers. So it's good that you identify the standards, but also even if you don't have standards, it's good. Sometimes it's useful to have a middle layer in between who then standardizes and captures all the data and then talks to the equipment and has standard interfaces to that equipment.
Okay, so you would push it, you would work for it, and you would enjoy it. Yes, so as you are
absolutely.
also
Yeah,
a IT supplier.
So I totally hope that when Boris Wenzel of TIC 4.0 or Norbert sit here in the upcoming years, that we have first implementations on every side of what TIC 4.0 does on the equipment side, but also on the TOS side and the vendor sides. And I think it's a duty of us vendors also to push for it.
Okay, thank you. Anton, what's your view?
Yeah, but perhaps two parts. One part interfacing. Yeah, there of course we are pro standardization as much as possible. So we applaud the TIC initiative, and we are part of that. But then, you know, if I go back to my own small niche market, OCR, well, there over the years several initiatives were taken to try to come to a kind of standard definition of, you know, accuracy rates, so that, you know, operators like APM, etc., would have a much better understanding of well, let's say the accuracies of the different vendors. But so far, according to my knowledge, it never went it never became a success, which means that today each vendor still has its own kind of definition on how to calculate, you know, accuracy rates, etc., etc. And let's say that yeah, everybody tries to use their statistics, you know, to have the highest possible accuracy rates. But of course, it's up to the terminal operators to then yeah, understand how these statistics were calculated, and that's a pity, of course. It should be different, but
Yeah.
so far, no conclusion.
Yeah. Okay, thank you.
So I think the biggest challenge with standards is actually establishing standards. Every time when we start a new initiative and we say that we will establish a standards, we actually create variation. So I think we should be a little bit more humble and start using what is already out there. So copy with pride, as an industry colleague says, very vocal in the industry. So copy with pride, take it and use it. That's the way you actually promote a standard, rather than establishing and, you know, writing a new one. We are very much supporting the TIC 4.0. We are there and our founder members, and that initiative actually tried to bring us together, you know, start to have that dialogue and actually aligning on what standard, you know, we will use. But this is one topic of our industry which addressing this communication and messaging inside the, you know, the terminal. But there are so many other standards which we can readily adopt, and we do not need to invent them. You know, one challenge which we have for years is the way how we are arranging our systems in architecture. Where is the TOS system stays? Where it is the equipment control system stays? What are the split of responsibilities? But then there are standards out there in the world which they are already available and we can just use. We have an ISA, you know, International Society for Automation organization, writes standards for 100 years. We just need to go and read the documents and start using them. Start to apply ISA 95, start to apply ISA 99 for cybersecurity and all this. They are all there. We just need to start to be a little bit more humble and say that we can actually use the manufacturing standards in container terminals. It is not far the reality, you know, and the way how the structures are created. So my message will be is please reuse, please recycle, and repeat. And that's the way how we will improve the industry.
Very good. So we have the push and we have the discipline. Yeah? So this was for us all, hey, please use it and not do whatever you think, because you might be not like to download a document and just use it. And I think it's a very good one. Yes.
And I think another important message is that we as terminal operators, as customers of systems and the various suppliers, we actually have to take a lead to go to do this. We cannot expect that only the suppliers in the market will actually be able to standardize. They'll of course develop their own systems and their own, you know, software stacks in different way. It is on us as customers, our operators, to actually request for standard, to have maintain our, you know, requirements in a way that everybody can align with a standard.
Very good. Fully with you there. What's your view?
I don't know what I can add. Everything was already said. Yeah, well, and that's, I mean, definitely for technology, for AI, ML, standardization is the best way to go. But I don't know, it's like one of our customers, just an example, they have 26 different types of license plates we have to be able to measure, 26 different languages, and they're still expecting the percentage. So like Alex rightly said, there has to be a merge somewhere. And if standardization happens, it's easier for both ends, both from the customer and the vendor and the supplier, because that gives them the best utilization of technology. Otherwise, we're still trying to figure out, retrain. So it's a chicken and egg, let me put it that way.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's.
No, I'm with you also. I like, by the way, the comment that we here and there might look to other industries. Yeah, so we in the port industry we like very much to be in between of us. Yes, so you all know this better than me, and sometimes it's good to look out. Yes, mining industry. I remember when we did, by the way, the automated gate at the Burcherkai. We talked about OCR. We went to a DHL packaging center, and I was shocked. Because there was a conveyor belt and all kinds of packages going there, and you know when you send a package you put the button wherever you want, it's round and whatever, and they scanned it. And then I asked this guy, hey, what is the percentage? Thinking, oh, we are still this 95% we need to have. He said, why you worry about this? I said, well, the most of it we scan. And I said, what do you do with the rest? He showed me his back office, and yes, in the beginning there were a few people sitting checking the images, could not find it, and there was a manual backup procedure, so he could not save all the headcounts, but a big amount. Yeah. So, and I took this also as a learning. It's sometimes very good to go and look out of the port industry what we can learn. Yeah. So, Nico, a question for standards for you, and also I would not like to press you to give secrets, please. But I know that Burcherkai and the procedure changed the crane supplier for automated cranes in the rollout. What challenges there you experience, and how was it? If you would like to share this with us, if not, nobody will be angry here.
I guess I can't share much about it with you. On the one hand, it wasn't the project I was working on. On the other hand, a lot of those information are secret. All I can say that it was, I guess, an important step for us. It's not just looking on the stacking crane system itself. We have the view as HHLA on all our 3 terminals now, where we try to push standardization over all 3 terminals, because you can imagine that every terminal has his specifica, and now we are at the point that we see the standardization gives us a better feeling over the terminal. It gives us new opportunities to perform our terminal business. And yeah, let me come back to one thing Alex Dukas said. I guess you mentioned that even when we want to go for standardization, we kind of aren't able to make it, and we go back from standardization again. And the same is what we are kind of experiencing within our terminals. Let me say that much. We try to find like standard procedures to define new standards, but it's so hard and almost impossible to make it. So it's a big challenge. But I guess every step of more standardization will help us for the future.
Very good, thank you. No, I think we all fully agree for this. Yes. So let me come to the audience. There was one question, Matthew, but I think it's more or less covered. Yeah. So your 100% question. I think we talked about data reliability here. So please, any more questions? We have a microphone. You don't need to hack in here in this. Yeah. I know you a little, but it would be nice if you just introduce who you are. Yeah. So and then I would appreciate it.
Hi, good morning. My name is Lea Shibrek. I'm a consultant in the port development and automation. I like the example you gave with the T.O.S, where we had to go through so many parameters to do the decking algorithm. And if you look at it today, we deploy a T.O.S. In certain terminals, we deploy an ECS, and then we have the telemetry of the equipment. But aren't we, as an industry, buying like a workhorse model and then going out there and trying to perform it and trying to increase the performance? Wouldn't we see as an industry a T.O.S that is already equipped with AI and already doing this kind of operations going forward?
So you would emphasize the supplier of systems to integrate it already. Is this your statement?
Yeah, because today we have a T.O.S and then we go in and we call the guys like who provides an AI services, and we try to implement and improve the decking algorithm, improve the stacking stuff. Why isn't it already there from the beginning? At the end of the day, it's called a terminal operating system. So shouldn't it be smarter?
Very good question. Statements?
So I think the point here, I think, is not about how smart is the tool. The point is how adopted is the tool. Having a decking algorithm, for example, or a decking, function in your T.O.S, it is not enough. It is also about that the planner, which actually uses the tool, will actually allow the system to perform the operation. Because most what is happening is that we consider our operations so unique, and the challenges we want to solve, they are so specific, that we do not find that the solving algorithm, the functionality which you have in the system, is to be trusted. So each system, does not matter how complex or how simple it is, in order to function, it has to be trusted. You have to trust that actually will work for you. We as a society, we develop and we start to use technology, and even if you think about daily communication, we use telex, then we use fax, then we use email. But every time when we do down these steps, we always had that question: is this actually going to work? Are you actually trusting that your email will reach to the destination, or you are still using that functionality, please confirm that you have read? Yeah? Which is still happening today. Yeah? So I'm still receiving that situation. But that's because we as users, in order to adopt the system, we actually have to pass over that mental, challenge and constraint that we trust the system. And that's happening with more complex solvers like the decking or situations in the operation. The person who actually uses the system needs to trust it. And after you trust it, then you can see how efficient it is. And then if it is not efficient enough, then the algorithms can improve, the systems can improve, so we can actually progress. But if you do not trust the system, that specific cycle of improvement is never starting, because you didn't establish the standard. And the standard is use what it is there and find out if that's solving your problem. If not, try to address that specific improvement and continuous improvement cycles.
And may I add something to your question as well? So let's talk about a standard T.O.S, and then within that standard T.O.S, it might be already a very good world and highly optimized T.O.S, and a customer who really is happy with that T.O.S. But then machine learning gives you the extra level and the extra edge to identify potential for improvements. And those improvements also, if you are at a very high level of productivity, very low rate of rehandlers in that case with the decking, then still machine learning can squeeze a bit more out of it. And then there's a strong business case behind it. So for the outbound transport mode detection, I don't know how many percent of, or I unofficially only know how many percent of loaded travel we've reduced there on the reefer side, but it adds up and it translates into a really good use case or business case money-wise when you can squeeze the last percentages out of it.
Yeah, I think this absolutely trust, and also to find a solution. I have to say, I was sitting here 4 years ago as an operator, and I was asked, would you buy artificial intelligence? I said no. Or would you develop artificial? I said no, I want to buy it, yes. In fact, I think we learned today that there is an interim stage, which is, yes, you go for this new technology, but you need maybe trust from the organization buying it to the supplier to develop it maybe in an interim stage together. As far as I understood, you are doing this at the Burchardkai, and then go forward. And we all, I think, know very well that our industry is don't get me wrong, it's not negative, it's a slow-moving industry. A terminal concession, so you don't do for 10 years, so how you want to re-earn your investments in 10 years? You do minimum 25 years, so many concessions, even 49 years or longer, they even are owned terminals, so you need to re-earn your high investment in a long period, and you cannot risk it. So there you need to evaluate. When you have a running terminal and you have an organization like the Burchardkai, and unfortunately you switch on a Friday evening your yard algorithm and you screw your yard over the weekend, and the next 3 vessels on Monday, Tuesday will be screwed. You get the claims from your dear customers. They are quite expensive. You get there, so you don't want to play around with this. So and you need to really trust what you do. And I like very much if I can summarize also a bit like this: start small, use examples like this, go with a joint test phase also, look holistic, look on your data availability. I think those are very good messages here coming from the plenum, and we can well use them in our projects in the future. I was asked if I'm right to save a bit time, yes, or is it? 5 minutes I have, so please feel free. More questions or statements. We have also a very experienced audience here. Many colleagues I know here for so many years. So not necessarily a question. You also can do a statement here. Yes, please.
Hi, Maxim from Cyberstar. It's not necessarily a statement, but some thoughts that I have about the automation, AI, implementation, machine learning, of course, because it's already been said that it has tremendous impact on all industries. Of course, in maritime industry and terminal management. But I kind of missing in this conversation on overall in AI, big data, automations, the impact on the overall operations, because we're saying, it was said here that there is importance to understand what should be done, what is the problem that AI and machine learning and automation should help us to manage or to solve, but how it will impact the simple employees that we have on terminals, how they will kind of embrace this change. So in my understanding, that before implementing or while implementing those tremendous technologies, it's very important to facilitate the next step of overall operation processes within the terminal, including all the employees and all the changes that kind of creates a lot of risks here. Because someone who don't want to lose his job or her job will kind of do anything to prevent those innovations. And it's something that I had in my mind. So
it's, I think, a very good statement. I like a lot. If I understand you right, it's a human factor. So one is, yes, you can lose your job. Okay, yes, we all know this. Automation is for rationalization. We want to do more with less. So there's a kind of a logic that you, of course, want to gain efficiency. And it's very much staff cost we are looking on. This is like normal. In the same way, at least in my opinion, we get more and more educated, so it's higher technology. There are jobs in other areas available, and we can do this. But the human factor is a very good thing. Any statements on this?
We talked also yesterday about it. So it's people, process, and products platform. So that's come together. So we can't do anything if we do not address the change, the people, the knowledge which we need to develop. And that's why I'm also recommending, start small. This is an evolution.
Yeah.
This is not a revolution. Yeah. It's an evolution, and we need to take it step by step to make sure that actually our organization grows, that our people develop within that segment, and that's the way how we will make use of these technologies. So step by step.
We need to learn this. Yes. Nico, as I would like to give
It's
last words here to
I anyways wanted to add something to exactly that point. So as Alex said, it's a step-by-step development. So with our with us gaining some more knowledge, also the employees who are kind of affected by that change of AI that AI brings to us also develop, and also some kind of gain new knowledge, and maybe we're gonna find new fields how to use the employees where they can work for within the process. So it's a process that starts pretty small. So for our project, we had like zero change for the employees, because they just received some new information they could use to control the system. But the next step may be affect employees more, so that they get educated with this system, with the AI, and maybe learn some new functions with it.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it's important to see we don't take the big step, and you could imagine for the future we can throw out the terminal control system and put an AI that controls all our terminal. That could be a step you could imagine theoretically, but we are taking the small steps and learning, and also see how it impacts the employees. And for each small step, we should plan the change steps going with it.
Yeah, absolutely right. Thank you very much. We are a bit over the time, so thank you for the interesting talk. Thank you very much for this panel. And hopefully we can emphasize that, Ben, one session might be human factor. I think this is a broad area we would like to discuss here, and I think would be very interesting. Thank you very much for you all for allocating your time here, being available to discuss, and thank you for paying attention here, and have a nice coffee, I would say.